going to work on flams. To play a good flam, think about the sound that you want to create. I use the word cha when I sing on flams. I want CH sound, that cha, 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 cha. We have a primary note, and we have the grace note. So the grace note, we always want just before the primary note, and that creates that cha sound. We want to keep that pretty close together, so we hear that it's a flam, but it doesn't become its own rhythm. So we want to avoid opening it up so much that it sounds like two different notes. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other side would be playing exactly the same time as a pop, which we want to avoid as well. So general rule of thumb, we want to play that grace note low and just barely before the primary stroke. When we play a flam exercise, we want to focus on the grace note being nice and controlled. Use your wrists to place each note and play the grace notes just like you play a tap. And the timing of it just being before the accent is what makes it sound like a flam. When we play this exercise, we start with the first pattern. We want to make sure that the accent hand remains exactly the same. As we add in the grace note, we don't want to change anything about the primary stroke. A great way to actually work on this is play the accent hand on maybe the rim. Just focus on keeping that consistent. When we add in the grace note, listen for that grace note. And make sure you have a great, consistent sound with that low note. As we do this pattern right and left hand lead, you want to work on getting every single flam to sound exactly the same. It's very common to get the flams to open and close. So you hear something like. What we want to avoid is any change in that. So work on getting every single flam to sound the same. You get that same ch, ch, ch sound. And as we switch from right and left hand lead, they sound exactly the same. As we jump into the second portion of this exercise, we're going to do accents and taps, just like 8 on a hand accents. And we're just going to add a grace note on the accent. That's going to help us articulate each individual grace note, and we want to make sure that that doesn't change the accent hand. So as I add in these grace notes, there's no change on my primary stroke. As you listen for that, it's very easy to drop in the grace note and be early. So try to work on articulating each note and turning the wrist to place each grace note accurately. As we jump into the third pattern of the exercise, we just move the grace note to the opposite side. We're going to keep the accents in the same spot, and we're going to make the upbeat a flam. And that's going to make us focus on that single tap after the accent becoming the grace note. So the same way I play this is how I play. And that's going to teach us how to play accents and taps and alternating flams exactly the same technique. We want to focus on placing each note. We want to have the same quality of sound that we'd have with 8s. last portion of this exercise is pretty simple. We just put all the previous patterns together and we alternate flams. And as we do this, we want to place every note the same, and we want to make sure the technique is exactly the same as we played in the previous patterns. This is a great full drumline exercise, but it's something you should do by yourself as well. Make sure you spend some time slow, place each note. Don't be afraid to record yourself and just listen to it. And we want to make sure we're listening to that grace note sound every single time we do this to work on the consistent flam no matter what context.